Hi, I'm Cody.
And I'm Brandon.
Welcome to Failure to Log Out, where we discuss different anime, video games, etc.
Where we break down different episodes of the anime or video games to help people fall in love with the shows and video games like we did.
If that sounds good to you, then come on, let's log in. Hey everyone. So, welcome to the first episode of the Failure to Log Out podcast. And as you can tell, this is going to be an anime video game kind of like a review where we're going to pick a series and discuss it. And Brandon and I, we actually picked a series this time around that we just discovered on a fluke.
Yeah, I think it was just flipping through channels and kind of caught an eye a little bit.
Yeah, the series is called Super HxEros.
Well, I think
it's spelled heroes, but if you look at the way that they refer to it, it's HxEros.
But if you want to search for it on Funimation or that, you have to type Superhero X.
Yeah, and that is how we watch a lot of our anime. We watch it on Funimation. I know I catch a lot of flack for it, but I personally do like watching dubbed anime.
I think you have a choice with Funimation, either doing dubbed or subbed.
Yeah, you do, and some people don't. There are some people that are absolutely against watching dub. And for me personally, that's what I grew up watching, so that's what I'm going to dive into.
Yeah. So, as we talked about, this is going to be... We're going to go over each episode so far. We'll be discussing each episode in Superhero X.
Yeah, and please bear with us. This is a brand new podcast. This just kind of stemmed from... Brandon and I were best friends, and we watched anime for a very long time with one another, and we've always would sit down and discuss things and kind of make like future predictions. So this is kind of like the brainchild of like a hobby of ours. And the one thing that we are going to be doing is with this Superheroes X, we have not watched this series to completion yet. We've only watched. Well, we started a couple episodes, but this is we're starting with episode 1, and we're gonna watch this and live it with you, the listeners. Eventually, the show will be on YouTube as well. We are kind of looking into the brain of everything, getting into it. But I actually host another podcast, the Lunch After Dark podcast, with a friend of mine named Mark. And Brandon's been a guest on it a few times, and Brandon's actually on another podcast.
My podcast is the Platform Podcast. We're usually on YouTube or Twitch, so if you want to check that out, we usually just talk video games and the business of video games. Yeah,
I was featured on at one point in time with my other podcast, the Lunch After Dark podcast. It is... There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's literally just BSing with friends. And it can be pretty raunchy, so keep that in mind. It's an explicit podcast.
18 or older.
Definitely 18 or older. Anyway, so let's dive into the show. So first off, I want to start with, I found a synopsis for people who might not know what this show is. So the plot of this show is, someone once said, hero is written with the words H and arrow. Enjo Redo is a superhero who fights against the troublesome bugs that are trying to strip the humanity of their lust, as well as because of the fact that his first love has suffered an attack of the aliens, and she no longer loves him. Unforgivable. He now, with the power of the HxEros, which is a wristwatch, like the device that gives its owner the power in exchange for the user's erotic power, tries to settle a score with the invaders. 5 heroes are ready to save all with H and arrow. Their names are Shiriaki, Enjo, Hoshino, Momozono, and Tenukichi. So that's just a real brief summary. That is actually, I found that off IMDb, because, I mean, my description of that was going to be completely different. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I am a fan of a harem anime. Love harems, and it's not it's not for any specific reason other than I love the comedy dynamic of a harem. Like, let's call it what it is. Yeah, there's a lot of fan service in it, which, don't get me wrong, I'm definitely not a fan of. No, I can't say that. I definitely am a fan of fan service. Yeah. No, but what I'm saying is with it, a harem, the situations they get in are funny because a lot of harems that take place, like, the kids are teenagers. And let's be honest, we were all teenagers at one point. I know when I was a teenager, I was an idiot. I did a lot of stupid things.
True.
Especially when it was trying to impress the opposite sex. Like, you do a lot of dumb things, and you get put in awkward situations that, like, watching an anime, you're like, there's no way that would happen. Lo and behold, yeah, I mean, not to the extremes that they go to, but...
I know when this anime opens up, it seems innocent. Like, it's an innocent show.
Yes, it definitely did. And that was... Alright, so... When we put the show on, we were kind of just scrolling through... we were just scrolling through Funimation, and this one was there. We're like, alright, we'll check it out. And it, like, you know, because we've watched ones like Your Lie in April and stuff like that, and it seemed different. So we decided to check this one out, and so yeah, it was something that we just decided to put on, and it starts out, it's all nice and innocent. And so episode 1 is called In This World Filled with Light. Okay, so that, again, sounds like it's going to be innocent. And so let's talk about one of the things I noticed right off the bat with this anime. No intro anime opening scene. None. Jumps right directly into the story.
Yeah. I know that... I like how, like, the two kids, like, the main protagonists...
Yeah, that is Redo, the male, the redheaded male, and Hoshino is the blonde girl.
And she is showing him how to hold hands.
Yes.
There's apparently different ways of how kids hold hands and adults hold hands.
Yeah, well, it's the cupping is for kids. Adults interlocking the fingers. That's what she's showing them. And there's like this you know, magical moment with they're staring at each other, and you know, the wind and everything. Like, it paints a really pretty picture, and then it fades out, and you just get that voiceover and said, on that day. And then it cuts to 5 years later. And when we were watching it, I remember us going, whoa. Like, how do you gotta skip over that? Let's backtrack. Come on. And that's what this show did very well, which, you know, I know it hooked me, was that it kept giving you like a little nugget, but nothing. And there was nothing until like the very end, big reveal. And by that point, I'm all right. Like, I'm in, because you teased me enough, and now the release, and I'm like, all right, I can get down with this.
So, like, you know, as he said, 5 years gone past. They're teenagers now.
Yeah.
And you notice right off the bat that the girl has changed in some way. Like, you know, she doesn't like holding hands. She don't like. She's wearing
gloves. Wearing gloves now, so she doesn't come in contact with any boys or anything like that. She doesn't even like to touch boys' things, like a notebook and stuff like that. But so it cuts to 5 years later. The opening scene. They are sitting in a classroom, and of course, in a harem style situation. There is a group of boys sitting around talking. The one kid, they're having like a regular conversation. All of a sudden, boom! Right out the gate, he's holding up a swimsuit catalog for Redo to see. And he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Which one do you like, man?" And because that's going to be natural in the shows. And then cut to Hoshino coming over, like, "You boys are disgusting," and she says, "This crap is what belongs in the bathroom," and she like starts tearing into him, and they're just like, "But they're hot." Like that is that kid's defense. He's like, "It's hot. They're hot, man." So we end up we kind of follow along in that journey, that conversation, and then it there's all these moments where they're talking about things, and you get the feeling that it's something happened, but like I said, you don't know what.
Yeah, and he keeps referring her as his first love.
Yeah. And so, cut to later, she's walking by and she is asked to help carry notebooks to the classroom. So she does that, and Redo is walking by, and Hoshino, he sees her just staring at these notebooks, and he's just like, hey, do you want some help? Because I know you probably don't want to touch the boys. And she's grateful that he's doing it, and she's just like, yeah, but you gotta stay 1 meter away from me. I don't care what you do, blah, blah, blah. So, naturally, it cuts them walking down the hallway, and it shows... This is one of the nice things about the show. It has a comical element to it. So, like, it actually specifies, like, a little arrows pop up and, shows the 1 meter distance, which made me laugh really hard. Only because it made me think of, like, South Park when Cartman walked around with his 6-foot social distancing stick. But I digress. So... What happens next, Brandon? Do you remember at this moment at 5 minutes and 42 seconds? I had to spark that down because that is the first instant of this kind of stuff in this series.
So, like, I think they're walking down the stairs, and somehow she trips. And you see papers fly in the air and all that, and it cuts to them again, where he is somehow, I don't know how this happens, but somehow is holding her boob.
Yeah, okay, so rewatching it, I paid attention to this because there's another part to it also. Okay, so she slips or something going down the stairs, and he says, like, watch out. So what he does, he slow slides up in behind her. Like, that's... She's falling down, he slides down, so he ends up getting behind her. So the way he grabs a hold of her is groping her chest. Yeah. Now, if you pay attention, the book that she's holding, the notebooks, cover up her skirt region because it's blowing up. That was another moment, that was something that we had missed when we watched it, because I remember when we watched it, when we were seeing the groping thing, I remember I looked at you and I'm like, how does that happen? Yeah. Like, how do you dramatically slide? Like, okay, I'm not a super intelligent person, like, when it comes to physics and everything, but I'm pretty sure it is damn near impossible to slide with that much force to protect her from falling down the stairs, reach up under her shirt. And...
It wasn't under her shirt. He was.
Oh, that's right. It was over her shirt.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you don't magically. He doesn't have instant transmission. This is a Dragon Ball Z. He doesn't have that power. We'll talk about his power. It's something.
I think you could slide. Like, if you're falling and you just let yourself go and you just slide down.
You want to try? Do you want to go outside and slide down the
steps?
No. You can try to fall. I'll see if I'll catch you.
I'm just saying, like, it's possible if you're willing to hurt yourself to save.
All right, keep that in mind. Would you do it?
Probably.
Okay. Would you do it to save her?
Yes.
Okay, not just to cop a feel?
No.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to clarify that for the listeners. This is episode 1. We gotta, paint a right picture. So yeah, that happens, and they get to the landing part before the next part of the stairs, and they have this, like, intimate moment where they're like, what the heck? How did you do that? Why would you do that? And as in all harems, she's upset and mad, and he's like, it was an accident, but they never see that way. They always see you're a pervert. So the next thing happens, it cuts to Redo walking down the street, and a TV is playing a news broadcast. And this is the moment when Brandon and I, when we were watching this, Brandon, what was your reaction to the news footage?
Okay, so... Like, I think I happened just to look up at this news part, and I looked, and then I had to, like, what the fuck is going on with this here? Because it just shows, whenever anyone sees a blurred image, you think the worst. I know you guys will also.
Oh, I thought it was a giant dick. Immediately, I was like, because I remember looking at you going, dude.
So, like, the image is blurred on the news thing, so you can't even see what it is. And my worst thoughts just started spiraling of what are they going to show, but blurred out on an anime, no or less.
No, we've seen some stuff.
And I think it cuts to the newscasters, explaining what this is and how it's an alien.
It's H energy. Because I made sure I took down notes about what he's talking about. They steal your H energy,
which is hormone energy.
Yeah. So and the aliens are called Kishus or Kishus or something like that. Kiswees or something. I wrote down how to spell it, but I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't remember. It's Kiseichu. They're aliens that are stealing the H energy. So after this, Redo sees this and he's like on that, because I've seen this before, like back on that day. That's it. No more dialogue. That's the end of it. And then you're sitting there going, "Come on, dude. Come on, finish your story."
And then it cuts to
the idol.
Yeah, the idol, where she's getting ready to perform for these people in the stands, and somehow she just magically like throws up her hand and her shirt gets untied, and it like her shirt opens up magically.
And it was a bikini top.
Yeah,
you need to specify as a bikini top.
Well, and then everyone's like, like all gasping and all like smiling, and then the alien thing is like basically sucking them dry.
Oh yeah.
And like they're happy, and then all of a sudden their HO gets drained and they're like blah. Like they don't feel anything. They just feel blah.
Yeah, and then so the idol, when her top comes off, she runs backstage. She comes back, and after all that energy is drained, and she's like, "Where are you guys going? And then her energy gets drained, and then she pulls off her thing, and it's like, "I'm gonna go find a real job," and then she walks off. And this is the moment that I wrote down. I underlined a bunch of times. Epic hero reveal. So that's that big epic hero reveal that we've been waiting for throughout this entire thing. You knew it was coming because of this presence that he has as he's walking around. He's like, "Yeah, on that day I wanted to be a hero," and all that kind of stuff. So you know something's gonna happen. I did not expect, however, for his power to be what it is. So, Brandon, you want to tell everyone what his power is?
So they have these watches, and like when you turn the watch, it gives you your power. And like flames start shooting up, and like he's like, like he did this superhero punch and like knocks the bad guy out, and you just see flames, and all of a sudden the flames start getting like dimmer, and then all of a sudden boom,
he's naked.
Yeah. Like straight up, like I guess his power, like he has flames, but he can't get flame resistant clothes.
Oh no.
Then and you find out why, like why he did what he did, and
eventually, yeah. So the next thing after he smacks this like praying mantis alien thing and becomes naked, he then gets cut to you meet the uncle, and the uncle is working on Redo's watch, giving him like kind of like we find out that they're trying to build a team of multiple different people, all that have the same H kind of energy he has to fight back these aliens, and they're looking for one more member. Coincidentally, obviously, there has to be one more. One more will join. So then after that, we end up getting to Redo talks about he wanted to become a hero because of Hoshino being his first love. He wants to protect her because of what happened to her back on that one day. Here it is again, that day.
And I think they meet up, and he's trying to apologize to her.
Right, but there was one thing I wanted to talk about that I wrote it down because I really did like this quote that he says. Someone once told him, "The opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference." And I was like, when I heard that line, I'm sitting there thinking, what? Because, you think about, like, love is such a passionate feeling, such strong, and hate is a very strong word and everything, too. But then if you think about it in a way, I kind of understand, and I can get that logic that it is indifference. Because that burning desire for somebody where you absolutely have to have them.
Yeah.
The opposite of that would be indifference, where you don't care.
True.
Where that person means nothing to you anymore. To me, that's a worse feeling than hatred.
Yeah.
But I really did like that. So then you were right.
It cuts to them. He's apologizing what happened the next day, and boom, the alien comes back with a new body.
Yeah, epic upgrade. I wrote and I underlined because he's like, "Rah! I'm gonna run over. I'm gonna punch you," and then he punches, and the alien's like, "Ha! You pipsqueak! You cannot break my impenetrable body."
And this is what in this part I had to crack up laughing because he's with her, and like he drained all his power from the first battle, and the only thing he could do was just throw a shirt over the alien's head.
Yeah.
And the alien was like, "What kind of device is this?
Yeah.
I can't see."
Yeah, I wrote down, I was like, epic quick retreat attack.
And then at this moment, he grabs her hand, okay? And this is important from the beginning.
Yes.
So he grabs her hand, and they're running, and you hear her in her mind going, "What is this feeling?"
Yep.
Like, I'm having these feelings again. And they run in, I guess, back to the same place as the beginning.
Yeah, it's the playground from the very beginning opening scene.
Yeah, so they're sitting there hiding inside the little toy thing.
Yeah, and that's also the same place from the opening scene. So it's not only like an external location the same, it's the very exact same moment that the show opens up to. That's where this is leading.
So like he realized he'd stolen her hand, and he apologizes for it. And she goes, "No, please, just, keep holding my hand. And I'll forgive you this time." Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to talk about what happens inside there, but I wrote it down. Just like these are all I see when we're doing this, I'm gonna take notes of things I want to make sure that we talk about because either they're funny, they're important to the story, or I gotta let you know when the fan service is. So what happens in there? They're sitting there and they're having this discussion, and Hoshino is having this internal monologue going over and over about trying to figure things out. And she talks about how on that day she closed off her heart. Yeah. So now with these feelings of them just holding hands, keep that in mind, all they did was hold hands. This has unlocked her heart, which then turns into a nude epic fan service scene where there's jiggling everywhere, there's sparkles covering nipples, and it shows this. The opening the heart, dude, did you realize that looks like an Iron Maiden from back in the Renaissance days? And I was like, oh, that is terrible. But the way that it opens, it was very suggestive. And I'm like, no, come on. So yeah, that was just the one thing that I really wanted to bring out was just that little scene. Like, you have this nice touching voiceover, boom, 100% ridiculous. You jump right in. So next the
alien turns into a bigger form somehow.
It looks like a giant ant head. Like, I don't know how else
like a praying mantis type thing.
Yeah, like the queen.
And so they're standing there, and I think at this time he just
no, they didn't do anything with their watches.
Oh, because
they're just holding hands, and at this point they're sparkly.
Yeah,
sparkly with this H aurora foaming around them, and he says to her, "We'll take this thing down together." And then they go, "Ha!" and they punch, and sparkle nipple fan service is what I wrote down. Because it immediately their clothes burn off and there's all this magic, but you see the clothes particles flowing around. These particles are everywhere, and they're standing on top of this jungle gym at this playground just staring off in the distance like, yeah, we did it. And then it gets really awkward.
Because she's found out she's naked.
Yeah, they're both completely butt-ass naked out on a child's playground. And yeah, well, there's nothing else to say. It's like, no one should ever be naked at a playground. Like, I don't care what the reasoning is. So then it cuts to they're sitting there, they're having like a heart-to-heart discussing, and she's saying like she'll help him out or whatever because she just saw everything that happened. And then what happened next?
Well, I don't know if it was before that or after that, where like it kind of like cuts to why she changed.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
Because back in the day when they're younger, from the opening scene, I don't know if anyone missed it, but you see something flying overhead, and it cuts back to the guy on the ground and the girl like protecting him, and the alien like kind of like sucks up her H aura, but he nothing happens. So he's like, "Wow, you're like super extra horny person," and all that, and that offended her. So that made her close up her heart. Yeah,
because he says, I wrote down that her Hoshino gets H absorbed by the alien. The alien reveals that she had too much H energy because she is super horny. That is why she doesn't touch or talk to boys, is because she has so much energy pent up. Which you see that too, because when it showed earlier when the like other people got their stuff taken away, they went like completely zombie. Like it showed her and she's like, "Whew, that felt different." Like so you knew something was up with that. So then it cuts to these three girls come walking in, and like the one's just talking, and you're like, "Who in the f- are these?"
Yeah, they came to her clothes.
Yeah, that was something that I took note of, because like they just coincidentally have the perfect size clothes that are gonna fit her. Like, I mean, and who walks around? Okay, they're surprised and they walk up like, "Oh, who's this girl?" But yet they have an extra set of clothes for her.
Yeah, it's a show.
I know, but I mean, that's just one of those moments. I'm like, all right, come on, buddy. But yeah, so then because my words I actually wrote were, of course they have extra clothes that fit her perfectly. But so then they start talking about the HxEros and like what it is, and then the rule is they all have to live under the same roof. Yeah. Bum bum bum, because in all natural harem scenarios, Hoshino learns that they have to live on one roof, and she's like, Redo lives with 3 other girls, and then it pans up to the sky, and then Redo gets smacked. End episode, and then anime intro is revealed. And I remember when we first watched the anime intro, just as soon as it started, it shows him like in that outfit, and he's like sings like some random thing. I remember you going, and you're like, what? And like laughing. So, but yeah, so that is the first episode of Super HxEros or HxEros, whatever the pronunciation is. It's available on Crunchyroll and Funimation to watch. But that is our first episode, kind of inaugural, and that's kind of the way that we're gonna do things. You know, kind of interject thoughts and everything like that. So overall, I think what I would like to do is at the end of these episodes, like we break something down. What would you rate that episode? For keep in mind with it being the intro episode to a season,
I'll give it a 6.
A 6, okay. I think I'm gonna give it a 7. The reason I'm gonna give it a 7 is because I liked that element, like I said earlier in the beginning, of there was a story element that they were holding out until the very end. So by the time we got that reveal, I was hooked because I was waiting the whole time.
True.
So why would you give it a 6? What did you feel was missing? What?
Well, it's the first episode, so you know there's going to be more to come. So I'm just waiting to see if it gets better.
Okay. Predictions. What's your prediction? We can't really have a prediction for episode 2.
I think by the end of the series, I'm going to guess that they're going to fall back in love again. Mm-hmm. That's my prediction.
Okay. All right. I have that prediction as well, but I'm gonna have my other prediction is gonna be that there is going to be a new character that's introduced. that is gonna change like everything up. Like not as a bad guy means there will be another character, because how they were saying there's they only need one more. I bet they come across another one who is gonna something's gonna happen. That's just my prediction. But like you said, we have not watched this yet all the way through, so we have no idea. So this will be something different for us all. But with that being said, I think we can wrap up our first episode. In the beginning, since each one of the anime episodes are like 22, so we just keep our episodes right around like half hour, a little bit over.
Yeah.
Granted, eventually we can cover more episodes. Like this, something new we're trying. So all the bugs will get figured out eventually.
And don't forget to like and subscribe and share this out to all your friends and family. And if you like this, don't forget to check out the Lunch After Dark podcast on YouTube.
Yeah, we're on YouTube, Apple, iTunes podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeart, anywhere you listen to podcasts, Lunch After Dark is on there.
And if you're also liking Lunch After Dark, check out the Platform Podcast. You can find us on Twitch, YouTube, and Spotify.
All right, and I know I don't want to do it, but I think we log out of here.
Let's do it.